You probably saw them. You probably saw all those videos from various polling stations at the just ended New Patriotic Party presidential primaries. So many delegates confessing to receiving between 400 Ghana cedis and 300 Ghana cedis from the presidential candidates, presidential aspirants, the persons who sought to lead the New Patriotic Party into the 2024 election. And this is not the first time. We saw it during the NDC's primaries as well. So many delegates receiving money from candidates to vote in an election. Is this culture of paying delegates and other persons to vote a very big risk to Ghana's democracy, or these are simply, as the political parties would like to put it, transportation cost to ferry these delegates to and from polling stations?
How much is getting in I am 1 city up till now. I have about 2 o'clock. No, I can see Kanye and Sankai.
Let's say delegates be nothing.
As a delegate, be 300 Ghana.
Other candidates for them be as
other candidates no so far in Saka.
But we are the saying
so far, but we are the 400 Ghana.
Be as Saka.
We are a boot, we are a boot, we are a film crew, so I'm 1 city. About your my iska. One of my coaches Canadian. We are a boot, yes, here. I don't know how to say Well, I saw this with my own naked eyes. I was the one conducting that interview in Adenta, where one delegate was complaining that 300 Ghana cedis paid from Kennedy, Japan, to each and every one of those candidates, for each and every one of those delegates, had not reached them, alleging further that some persons had sat on that money and had not gotten to delegates. This is a big issue. We are connecting right after this break.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
No matter your water needs, Sintex has it all. Sintex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Sintex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Sintex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Sintex tank. Sintex tank, stress-free. Sintex tank, reliable. Sintex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit sintexgh.com. Sintex tank, a strong, a tough.
For over 10 years, Old Mutual has been touching lives in Ghana. Whether you're a trader or a student, an entrepreneur or an employer, or nearing your retirement, we have the right financial solutions tailored just for you. Contact Old Mutual on 030-7000-600 or visit our website on oldmutual.com.gh to learn more. And let's realize your financial freedom together. 10 years of greatness, here for a lifetime. Old Mutual, do great things every day.
Media Sambisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodompe mu mana yakono. Eye kwabna. Na mumu hwan so na tumi tasmale me ma yene nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodompe mu sense o yisu accident eba. Ayede yan ban ne do braye. Bu si eti na mo ho ban na sem mana hoode ne. Sa. Ani na kudwo so yisu accident chako. Na eno ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na filiu. Ey kojo. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie, you're gonna natural.
FDIJ Trading Katuyatu.
The luckiest. Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Keep buying your luckiest ticket with star 712 hash as an individual, a group, an association, or even a community, and stand a chance of winning in the community draw or the ultimate draw on 23rd of December. Be the luckiest on star 712 hash and win millions. Ticket sale starts on October 4th, 2023, and draw date is on 23rd December 2023. Play responsibly, not for persons under 18 years. This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform. Win millions on star 712 hash.
Teachers. Bankers, the luckiest. You could be the luckiest.
Ready? Let's go. We all go bring some savannah.
Everyone is dancing, everyone is singing, because everyone is painting with Savannah. Savannah paints from Azar are affordable enough for everybody to fulfill their paint needs. Paint more, pay less. Savannah paint, we all go paint some.
We all go paint some Savannah. We all go paint some.
Welcome back to the show. This is still Ghana Connect right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Like I told you, the big phenomenon of vote buying in Ghana's politics. So many candidates paying so much money. And when I come back from this, I'm going to do a math for you so that you get to know the amount of money involved in the just ended election for each and every single candidate. Plus, I have some beautiful minds connecting with us on this topic. Stay.
It's a deal. You could book
Our money, one money, our money, one money.
Na bu kan sika ne ensan kan.
Na say delegates bia nya say.
Say delegate bia nya 300 Ghana cedis.
Other candidates for the game bia saka.
Other candidates no so far ensan kan.
Ba mi ade na say na.
So far ba mi ade na 400 Ghana cedis.
Bia saka.
Shey dey we ya me boot ya me yakon ha sisi. We ya me boot ya me frame krum so boot ya. So ma me wan cedi a. E ba di obi man iska. Mo na ma ko chiska na die no. Ya me boot ya sisi ai. Ade na so ya ma miska.
On money, Africa money, okay, it's up and go. Woman, they work, rich, they enjoy. I say, how we go bridge, oh, they got between, I can't turn the job, oh, okay, the job.
Commission of Abuja. Their equivalent in Ghana is the EOCO, Economic and Organized Crime Office. So if they are arresting people for paying bribes to influence voters, how come our EOCO must be sleeping?
Chop, 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 chop.
Was paid.
No, I don't think it came from his pocket. So what we did was to assign and allocate all these people. But we said that no matter what support you want to give, please do not go beyond a certain threshold. Okay. Because it cannot be victory procured on the altar of purchase.
So the 400 was to influence the vote.
Because you cannot. 400 influence your vote.
No, but are we getting to a point where we say that, let me finish, that delegates cannot go and exercise their civic responsibility without being given transportation? 400 cities transportation in Adenta.
The NDC gave support to all delegates. All I'm saying is these major political parties, they always give support to the aspirants.
So that is the lowdown. And before I get to my beautiful guests who are connecting with us tonight, let me do some math for you. It is not now in denial that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, paid each and every delegate who voted in the just ended MPP presidential primaries 400 Ghana cedis. Of course, you've heard Samia Oku argue that that did not directly come from the vice president's pocket. But if you do the math, there are 204,000 delegates of the New Patriotic Party. Each paid 400 Ghana cedis minimum. That brings you to 81 million Ghana cedis. Ken Ejapon, it is not denied, paid 300 Ghana cedis per delegate. That also brings you to 61 million Ghana cedis. So between these two candidates, 140 million Ghana cedis on a single day of election. Mind you, there were the super delegates. Mind you, these candidates crisscrossed the country campaigning to delegates. How much did they spend and where is the accountability? Does this bring into sharp focus conversation around political party financing, which so many experts have argued is part of the reason why corruption is so endemic in the country? Is this also time to review how political parties are financed and do so from state coffers? I mean, if you look at this money and you put that vis-a-vis how much Kolebu needed, 4 million Ghana cedis, 19 people died within that 5 months that Kolebu closed its OPD. 4 million Ghana cedis. On a single day, two candidates spent 140 million plus Ghana cedis on delegates. Is this vote buying or what exactly is so? I have some beautiful minds who are joining me to connect on this important subject. Kwesi Botre is one of the people that I know, very brilliant, and really have some real insights on this. Kwesi Botre, thanks for connecting with us. If you can unmute, Kwesi.
Hello, Kwaku.
Yeah, good to have you join us on Ghana Connect.
It's good to be on the show.
Great. I also have George Poku. George Poku is a Ghanaian who is based in the United States. And you know, in the US, political party financing is largely streamed. Even that, there are still concerns that there's a lot of corruption in there. But George Poku has some really interesting insights for us today. George, it's good to have you join us.
Kwaku, it's good to be on the program. And I want to say good evening to all your listeners.
Thank you. Bright Obo Kekeli is a Ghanaian journalist, fine brain, and Bright Kekeli covered part of this election and saw firsthand how money was exchanging hands. Bright, it's good to have you connect with us.
Yeah, thank you, Kwaku, for having me.
Right, and perhaps one of the persons who really have a deep insight in terms of how political party financing works, how some of these monies have gone into delegates' pockets. He has been studying this for so long, at least from 2000. Austin Wood is a journalist and he has real insights on this. Austin, it's good to have you join us again on Ghana Connect.
Thank you, Kwaku, and good evening to other guests on the show and everyone who's taking time out of their busy schedule to listen to us this evening. I appreciate it.
Peter Kilson Akins is a former student leader. He has run for office before. It will be very interesting to know how much he paid voters, either as transportation cost. They say it's no vote buying. So Peter will give us some answers. Peter, good to have you connect with us.
Thanks for having me, Kwaku.
Yes, and then I'm going to have very shortly one Barikisu. She's an aspiring assembly member for Ashaiman, and she's not going to contest an election. How much has she spent already? We want to see and get to know all that. So Barikisu is on. Barikisu, good to have you join us on Ghana Connect.
Thank you. Good evening.
Right, thank you. So let me start from you, Kwesi Bochi. Kwesi, what would you say that amount of money given delegate was it to buy their votes, or do you accept the explanation that it was to, as it were, just transport them 400 Ghana cedis and 300 Ghana cedis?
Thank you very much, Kwaku, and good evening once again to you and to all my colleagues, panelists on the show, and to everybody listening to us. I think that, Kwaku, vote buying in itself is an offense globally in most jurisdictions, including Ghana. And in fact, I find it quite insulting for even politicians to attempt to venture into vote buying, because then it looks like politicians are trying to buy the conscience of the electorate. But I believe these electorates have a mind of their own and do not need to be paid before they can exercise their civic responsibility of electing their leaders. But Kwaku, again, I don't think as of now we do have the evidence to categorize the payment of monies by politicians as a clear-cut vote buying, because I just heard you play the interview with Mr. Samia Uku, who clearly stated that these monies were for the purposes of transportation. I am also aware that some of these delegates need to travel for miles before getting to their polling centers to cast their ballots. I mean, some have to board cars, about 3 different cars or 4 different cars before they could get to their final destinations to cast their ballots. And so some of these monies are used to cater for the food of these delegates, their transportation. Some of them even need to rent hotels or accommodations because some of them probably might want to, rest before the day of the elections. And so these monies are to cater for all those things, because clearly the most important thing we have to look at is the intention behind the giving of these monies. Let's ask ourselves, are politicians giving electorates this monies for the purposes of trying to jeopardize or trying to prejudice their conscience, or is it for the purposes of transportation of food, like we have heard from these political actors? Because if the purpose of this money is to induce or entice these electors, then clearly it even falls under the categories of bribery, which has been criminalized by our Criminal Offences and Other Offences Act of 1960, the Act 29. And so clearly it is important that we sit down as politicians or as a nation, so we know clearly what the purpose of these monies are for. And again, on the matter of the MPP just ended primaries, whether or not Kennedy Japan paid 300 cedis, like you mentioned, or Dr. Baumia paid 400 cedis, like you also mentioned, I don't have the evidence to substantiate that fact that Dr. Baumia, the person of Dr. Baumia, or let me say, encouraged his followers to pay those monies to electorates. I do not have that fact yet, or whether or not Kennedy Japan has also come to confirm that he indeed paid those monies. I do not have those facts yet. And so I think let's get a clear direction of the intention of why the monies were paid before we can categorize them as vote buying. In any case, like you mentioned, the former President John Dramani Mahama, during their presidential primaries, also paid 40 Ghana cedis each to about 355,000 delegates.
But
amounted to
Kwesi,
17 million Ghana cedis.
But Kwesi, if the point that you made about transportation is anything to go by, if someone gives someone the 40 cedis, you can actually legitimately, based on that, say this is transportation, as opposed to 400 Ghana cedis. If you are a delegate in Adenta, where are you coming from that you are paying transportation for 400 Ghana cedis?
if you take a constituency like, let's say, Doma East, I would not want to use any constituency in Accra for a better understand. If you go to Doma East, there are some delegates or there are certain lecture area coordinators coming from Wamnafo. This is quite a distance from the capital of Doma East, which is Wemfie. In fact, these people will spend about, let's say, 100 cedis to 120 cedis on transportation. Some of them have families. Some of them live by a day-to-day, hand-to-job, occupation. Leaving their families to come into the city to cast their ballots, they need to leave some monies home. And they are coming to do this. This is an election organized by the party. They are leaving behind all their various, choices and various occupations to come and cast their ballots. They need to leave something behind for their families.
You need to leave something.
They will buy food when they get to their voting centers.
I mean, interesting explanation that Kwesi you've started to put there. Kwesi, thank you. Hold your horses there. I'll come back to you again on this, and we'll ask a few questions. But Austin, you have a view on this. You've been looking at this for so long. As far as delegates have been voting in Ghana, some things have been going around, and it even came up with this fear delegates mantra. Do you accept the explanation that Kwesi has just put out? And do you think it is reasonable enough to excuse the payment of 400 Ghana cedis, 300 Ghana cedis to delegates as transportation or whatever they call it? Hello, Austin. Yeah.
Thank you, Kwaku. Hello, Kwaku.
Yes, I can hear
hello.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. The other panel is entitled to his views, but I think that what he's doing is gaslighting. Because this is it. If the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and people around him believe that in these current economic challenges Ghana is going or Ghanaians are facing, you need 400 cedis as money for transport and a day's money for food, then they should know they are not treating Ghanaians right. Because how much are they paying teachers? How much are they paying teachers? They believe that for somebody to travel from Ofeso North in my village, Akomadan, to go and vote in an MPP primaries, where the highest amount you pay for transport, looking at where you'd be going, is 10 cedis. You are giving the person 400 cedis, and the amount you spend in a day to buy food will not be more than 50 cedis. If they believe that you will need 400 cedis for that, then why are they paying teachers 1,600 cedis a month, in which we have 30 days? Then the Vice President should know that Ghanaians are surviving on crumbs. That is the logic fail in what we are espousing now, the gaslighting. And you see, Samuel Oku, who is the vice campaign chair for the Vice President's campaign, says that it is laissez-faire and not trying to buy people. Same as what the other panel has said. Why don't they give us money when we are voting in general elections? That's why don't we travel from longer places in our homes to the voting centers? Why don't they give all of us money? Or in the main election, it doesn't count. We don't travel. We don't leave our wives and children at home. You see, let us not do this. And Kwaku, I would read something for you. In the 2015 Talensi by-election, right? Samuel Oku was the national youth organizer for the NPP. And I'm quoting verbatim what he told a media house about the incumbency advantage and buying of votes of the NDC in the Talensi by-election. And this is Samuel Oku speaking to the media. Quote, the NDC, everywhere you go, they bring goods, and after they finish, they give 1,000 cedis. First, it was 100 Ghana cedis plus fertilizer. I think they want to starve the whole of Ghana and use it for by-election. And as for the sharing of goodies, it's very, very symptomatic with the NDC's character, but we are solid on the ground, he added. This is Tamiyuku. That time, it was vote buying. Okay. Former General Secretary of the NPP has also said same. There's nothing wrong with it. It's transport and all that. John Boadu, when he was acting General Secretary in 2016, 16th of August, organized a press conference. And I'll quote some of the things he said in that press conference. Quote, the wife of the President of the Republic, hereby Lordina Mahama, is going around the country with a fleet of trucks load of goodies, which she is sharing for votes. These run into millions of dollars. And the wife of the president is doing this. Ghanaians also have the right to question the timing of the escalation of the First Lady's gifts sharing expedition and the volume and cost of the gifts being shared. You see, let us not do this. 400 cedis for someone to go and exercise their franchise, which is not by force. If you are an MPP delegate, you can choose not to go if you don't have money. Why are you going if you don't have money? Nobody will force you. Nobody will beat you, even though you are a delegate. Even national elections, our civic responsibility, it's not by force to vote. And this attempt to make it look like people live in far places. What about areas in Accra, areas in Kumasi, where you spend just 2 Ghana cedis or 5 Ghana cedis to go and vote in Bantama constituency? Why were they given 400 cedis? I am not talking about Kennedy Japan because nobody from his camp has come out officially to confirm they paid that 300. And on Samia Oku saying that it is not the vice president who gave the money, but people who wanted to show philanthropy towards his campaign. You see, let us not do this to ourselves as a people. Otherwise, we cannot fight the corruption we want to fight in our body politics.
I mean, Austin, I
the
like
vice president of the.
Austin, I like where you are going, but I want you to hold it there for a minute. I'll come back to you on that because we want to segue this into Ghana's fight against corruption and whether or not all this happening really gives us any hope that we can really deal with it. I like the context you've brought in. I like the coach you've brought in. It gives this conversation some really good context. So thank you and hold your horses there. I'll come back to you shortly. Peter, I mean, you've heard from Austin and then Kwesi. What are your views?
All right, Koku. So I've followed the conversation keenly on matters of corruption, and I must say that I appreciate Austin's perspective so much. These are the realities. The reality is that the increasing cost of running elections in Ghana has reached a towering apex. And if we are not careful, it would be so much difficult for people like you and I to run for elections sometime in the country, because if you do not have adequate financing from unknown sources or from sources that you cannot fairly prove where their monies are coming from, then you should find yourself, at the losing end at the end of the day. The fact of the matter is that from the CDD report about cost of politics in Ghana, in 2012, it was going to cost a person to spend about 245,614 Ghana cedis to win primaries. And in 2016, it rose astronomically to 389,803 Ghana cedis. And that was a 59% increment. It will shock you that in 2021, as of when CDD was making a report on cost of politics in Ghana, the same amount has risen meteorically from 389,000 convertible to 85,000 US dollars to 693,000 US dollars convertible to 4 million Ghana cedis. And so it will take you and I 4 million Ghana cedis if we want to win a constituency in Ghana. And that should be a worrying trend. And that is for parliamentary alone. The same CDD made a report in 2021 on how one would have to spend about 100 million US dollars to contest for primaries, as in internal party primaries, and a general presidential election in Ghana. And to me, this is an extremely worrying trend, because how would one, be able to garner such hefty amount of money to run for elections, if not through dubious means? The same CDD made a critical report on how dirty money fuels campaign funding in Ghana, and I'm sure that document is online. It's a 49-page document. The conclusion they made was that less than 1% of funding for campaign and political activities originate from membership dues or subscriptions. It tells you that a lot of these monies, that political parties rely on to run for elections in Ghana, actually come from procurement infractions, kickbacks, illegal oil distribution, illegal mining, galamsey, and all of these things that we've been trying to battle in Ghana. You ask yourself how and why somebody will pay 400 Ghana cedis to somebody to go and vote if the intent is not to influence the choice of the voter. And for Kwaku to know, MPP as a party gave each and every delegate 50 Ghana cedis to finance their transport and means to get to the polling center to go and vote. And so to say that the voters or the delegates were going to rely strictly on the monies given to them by the aspirants to vote is in a way going to reduce their cost of going about the day. I think that's ridiculous and frivolous, because the party understood the critical need of voters to actually reach the polling centers. That is why it initiated this payment system of 50 Ghana cedis per delegate. And so there was no excuse for any aspirant whatsoever to try and pay an extra amount. So it means that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia paid about 8 times the amount of money that the NPP as a party gave to each and every delegate. And that to me is a worrying trend. It is a worrying trend because today, Otunfuo Secretary is raising about $10 million US to fix about 4 blocks in Konfanoche, which is currently at a serious deteriorating stage. A hospital that serves the needs of about 12 regions in Ghana. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was able to spend about $6.7 million US on his campaign alone.
Well, it must be stated that, of course, the vice president's campaign has always stressed that that did not come personally from his pocket. This is fundraising activities, and these are all philanthropists and donors who all decided that they will chip in to support. But I get the utility of the point you make about if Dr. Bawumia could raise that amount of money and spend that on delegates, how about spending that on development in the country? But some would say, well, trying to get into office is expensive. Kilson, thank you, and hold your horses there. I'll come back to you. But I want to hear from you, Kekeli Bright. I mean, you've seen this firsthand. You went around during the election and all that. Do you accept the explanation Botry has put out and the interventions that have been made by both Kilson and then our senior colleague, Austin Wood? Hello, Havila Kekeli. If you can unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Live and...
All right. So definitely I'll consider whatever monies that were given to these delegates as a form of an inducement, really, because as explained by some of the panelists already, the party already gave some 50 cedis. So in the estimation of the party, 50 cedis is enough to convey or transport these delegates from whichever location they were coming from. And mind you here that the election were held in the various constituencies. It's not as though the usual ones that they used to have in the past, where they conveyed delegates across all the length and breadth of the country to a particular destination to cast their ballot. But this time around, it was held at the constituency level. So issuing out 400 cedis, 300 cedis, plus the 50 cedis from the various key contenders, definitely was an inducement. That is my perspective. But again, I'll say that any candidate whatsoever, particularly, a candidate or a party in power, who gives any form of assistance for anyone to go and cast his or her ballot in a primaries or any form of election, it's an admission of the fact that that leader or that candidate from that particular government knows that they failed. They've not lived to expectation. Because if they did the right thing, if they really put structures in place, if they really cared for the people, if they really laid down structures, if they really created jobs for the people, I don't think anyone would be thinking about assisting people to just go to, a polling center to cast their ballot for whichever candidate. Again, if this thing is not an inducement, why not give it to the party? So that, okay, I, Kennedy Japan, I can afford 300 cedis. I, Dr. Baumia, can afford 400 cedis. We give it to the party so that the party will do the disbursement. So that this time around, we know that the party is giving out 300, how much should that be? 750 cedis to all delegates across the country to go and cast their ballots. So that I know that I received 750 cedis from my party. I don't know whoever it came from. It came from the party. So I have on my own, 750 cedis. I'll just walk to the ballot and cast my ballot for whichever candidate I want to vote for. By hearing, I have received 400 cedis from Osimesi, that is Baumia, and I received 300 cedis from what's his name, Kennedy Japan, who best served my interest here when it comes to cash. So the politicians have impoverished the masses to the extent that they know that until they issue some form of assistance, going to a mere polling center to cast their ballot is even a difficulty. And that is some of the issues that we need to start tackling if we really want to solve some of these issues.
Really interesting. Kojo, you live in a place where democracy is kind of entrenched. And I've been reading a lot of literature. There's not something that you hear a lot in the UK or US, that Democrats or Republicans are going to vote and monies are being paid. Of course, it goes to feeding the point that Kelly makes. These are persons who are well-to-do, who are living well, middle-class people. So they don't depend on pittance, quote-unquote, from political party and its candidates to do so. But when you hear that this is entrenched in Ghana, and in fact, at Adenta and Medina, where I went to, there were delegates who were threatening not to vote if this money did not come to them. How do you put that side by side, what you see outside the country and how our democracy is growing? Hello, Mr. Poku, can you unmute?
Yes, Kwaku. It's a sad situation for us to be looking at this. Again, there are a couple of things that I want to, after listening keenly to what the other panelists have said, there are a couple of things that I think we need to look at. Again, one, what is the qualification for a delegate? That is something that we need to look at. Why do delegates feel entitled that they need to get a stipend from the people that are running for elections for them to even vote? 2, 3, who are these cronies or friends of these aspirants that are paying this money to enhance this? And where are they getting their money from? Because until we get to the root of the issue that we are dealing with, we cannot pretend to even put out solutions. Again, they are saying the money is not from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. That is all good and well. But in the advanced countries, even when a candidate solicits for funds from the voting populace, you have to account for the money that you receive. And that is how come on a monthly basis, they'll be able to say that Donald Trump has raised, let's say, $17 million. DeSantos has raised $15 million. There is a level of accountability that comes with it because the money that is coming in, these candidates need to account for it. These delegates have been chosen from amongst the party, and they have given a very, very, very serious duty to perform, which is to help them pick out the flag bearer of the party. So I do not understand why they think they are entitled to any sort of inducement from these candidates in order to go forward. Ghana's political structure needs a very, very critical look at, and there should be a level of accountability for all these monies that are flowing in. Because if we do not stop it now, we are going to get to a place whereby the country is going to be up for sale and the highest bidder can pick anybody from the street, throw that money behind that person and get that person elected, which is going to be very, 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 very sad for the country. So there are a couple of layers that we need to look at. And my top 3 is what I put out. One, what is the qualification of what qualifies you to be a delegate? Because if you don't have the heart for the party, in order for you to even wake up and go vote and choose somebody that can carry the mantle for your party, unless you are giving money, such a person should be disqualified from being called a delegate. That is the first thing. The second thing is, again, why the money being paid? What job are you doing? When you were told to become a delegate, you had the right to tell them you don't want to be a delegate and somebody else could have been chosen. This is not a job. So the excuses that I've heard of, they have to leave their chores, they have to leave whatever they are doing, they have to leave money behind in the house and all of those things. I think those are baseless excuses that are being given. You accepted to do something. I accept to come on your program, and I turn around and tell you, you need to pay me for me to come on your program, then I am not doing you any good. The party reached out to you and said that you are being chosen as a delegate. Again, we are looking at these delegates. Think about the super delegates. So the 80 million you are talking about, I can say that we are even looking at more million. We are talking about constituents got theirs. It's just a level upon level upon level upon level of this, and it is not sustainable. This model of us running politics.
Okay, George's line is breaking there. I'll go back to George. But time to bring in Barikisu. Barikisu is an aspiring assembly member for Asham and Atadika. Barikisu, how much have you paid to people so far, or have you've not paid any amount?
Even much for this, but I would like an aspiring assembly.
But Barikisu, if you can position yourself well, I'm struggling to hear you. If you cannot position yourself well a bit.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You are making a point.
I said I'm aspiring to be the next assembly member for Ajekojo electoral area. It's in Tema West.
Okay, all right.
Not Ashama, Tema West.
Ajekojo. Yes. I was asking about how much you've paid so far, if you've paid anything at all, and what do you make of this amount of money?
How much I did what?
Have you paid any money to people who are going to vote? District level election is coming up 19th. Have you paid for people to transport, or will you pay that amount, or you are not?
Thank you so much for this question, because this vote by giving delegates money to vote and all that is something I hate or I disagree with, because this is the case that these same leaders that are supposed to make it easy or are supposed to develop their country for us, they are even need to pay delegates to vote for them. Just look at, for example, the issue at voter region, the Akosombo issue. This kind of money that was issued out to the individuals just to go and vote. Voting should be about what you want. Oh, this person, I've seen that you can develop the nation or the country. Imagine this is just internal election, and they were spending this amount of money. What about the general election? Whilst we have issues that are affecting us in our area, come to my area and see some of the challenges we are facing. And just because of election, let's assume that you don't give them money. I said I want to develop a community for you. Come and vote for me. You are demanding for money. So assuming right now I don't have money, and you are insisting that if I don't give you money, you are not going to vote for me. I go to a different place and I borrow the money and come and give it to you. Then you go and vote for me. At the end of the day, even if I get the position, do you think I'm going to serve to expectation? It's like I paid for the position, and it's not going to serve the purpose. Leadership should be about getting things done. You should be ready for change. Yeah. But we buying these things. Sometimes I go to somewhere and then I'm campaigning. The person is like, "Hey, honorable or incoming honorable, something for the boys." I said, "I don't have anything for the boys. I have a message for the boys."
Oh, I see.
I'm bringing development. If you want to vote for me, vote for me. But don't ask me to pay. Even if I will give you money, I will give you money because you are my brother or my sister, not because I want you to go and vote for me.
Or maybe because you have some help, you have some challenge that you really need some help on. I mean, good perspective. This is someone who's running for an election who has seen it firsthand, people demanding honorable something for the boys. Let's take some comments. Michael, a lot of comments on our tech console. What are our audience saying?
Or quite a number of people connecting with us from several places. So quickly, let's go to Bacho now, where Nilomo says, good evening. The justification Kwesi is trying to do is not valid. If delegates need to be transported to their various voting centers, what's the party machinery not taking that responsibility? And trying to justify what they did with what Muhammad did is quite unfortunate. It doesn't cut for Nilomo. Now, to Spinters and Nana connects to that, he says, Ghana politics simply stinks. Let's all be honest. We saw people counting the so-called transport monies given to the so-called delegates. Well, they were delegates. Well, thanks. I wouldn't want to get out of my bed to queue to vote for any of those politicians. Another one here, Kofi says, I'm sad when people continue to defend wrongdoing. Vote buying is vote buying. I'm disappointed in those justifying 700 Ghana cedis as transportation. That's come from Kofi. Kwaku, you have one from Oyarifa.
Francis says, where is the GRA audit team when we need them most? Political parties and their operatives should be audited, just like companies are audited every year. Every penny spent should be traced and the audit trail established for legitimacy and taxes paid thereon. Where is the source of all this money? Francis from Oyarifa.
Well, and that ties in with that of what Kilson said, right? That's a huge chunk of the money. We cannot tell the official source.
You can't even trace it.
Exactly. And definitely makes a good point. We need money in the country to run our dialysis centers and all of that. Let's go to Lakeside. Kwaku,
I used to
your brother.
He has your name too. This also Kwaku. He says, not to justify the action of the two, but in general election, voting centers are decentralized. In the delegates election, the voting centers are far from some of others. Perhaps in the spirit of fairness, same amount should cut across. That's Kwaku from Lakeside. You have a last one.
I think that the point I was making was that in fairness, those who are coming from places that are far off
should get something.
Should get more.
Because if you live just close to the polling station, you are getting 400.
If you say close, qualified. I live in the polling station. They shouldn't be giving me the same amount compared to somebody who has to travel all the way across the region to come here. Well, finally, lawyer Aklivia joins us and says that a big shame to some, one of your panelists who just spoke on your platform. Well, we still have people who think there was nothing wrong for the delegates to be paid 400 and 300 Ghana cedis per person to vote for a presidential candidate. Well, he definitely disagrees with the notion of giving the money.
Thank you very much, Papani. Well, those are your comments. Let me come around the table and let me start from Austin Wood. Austin, you were making the point about corruption before your point. Before you ended your first submission. So what should happen going forward? What should we do with political party financing? Is it time for the state to move into finance? Or what can we do to end all this really? Or, I mean, if you look at the way the politics is done in this country, this is not something you can do away with.
The Electoral Commission, with the mandate they've been given, should be doing proper assessment and scrutiny of the accounts these political parties present every year. Also, we should look at beyond what the political parties are taking. We should look at what individual politicians, I think if the law does not cover them, is a leeway for some of them to be involved in some of these things. So we should look at that, because like the gentleman from the United States was saying, when Donald Trump took a decision to contest the 2020 elections in court, why was he asking his supporters to donate money for his legal fees? Isn't he a millionaire? He couldn't have done that, use his money for that. But we sit in this country and somebody will just tell us that somebody somewhere says, I'm donating 70,000 Ghana cedi in a constituency for the vice president. So around the 275 crores, it is individuals who are just saying they will take care of it, and the vice president did not coordinate it. Let us not do that. If we want to fight corruption, we should fight it on both legs, and not when it is on our left leg, because we are comfortable with the corruption on our right leg. Also, the special prosecutor must be petitioned, because I believe that this falls within the mandate of the office. corruption and corruption-related activities. That is why a former nominee for District Assembly chief executive in the Ashanti region is being prosecuted currently in Kumasi High Court. Why doesn't he step into this? Because these are corruption and corruption-related charges. We should petition the special prosecutor to look into it. And lastly, what the gentleman from the United States or the journalist said, we would know those people who are behind these things, and they should account and tell us where they have such monies from to make such donations. Are they genuine monies they have earned, or they are monies that are tainted with corruption or from illegal activities? Thank you.
Good point, Austin. Let me bring in back Kwesi Bocho. Kwesi, I mean, you tried to explain some of these things. Of course, some of the panelists clearly disagree with you. But going forward, what do you think politicians should do so that this notion of vote buying doesn't come in at all? Is there a way we can streamline this process so that no one gets any undue advantage from how much was paid? Because someone paid 400, someone paying 300. That, of course, even gives delegates some room to decide that, okay, one person is paying more than the other. How do we streamline this and make it, quote unquote, really legal?
Kwaku, thank you very much. Before I come to your current question, let me just briefly. Mr. Peter in his submission mentioned that some of these monies by these politicians are obtained through procurement infractions, galamsey, and etc., other illegal activities. Kwaku, I do not think that that is correct, because you see, when we talk about vote buying, Section 33 of the Representation of People Law 1992, PNDC Law 284, clearly sets out what one can use to establish that there has been bribery in an elections. Now, if we want to categorize what has happened as vote buying, I think we should go back to the law, look at the element of what constitutes the offense, and then we can make a conclusion that, okay, so and so amounts to vote buying or bribery of, let's say, electorates. I would not sit here to, in any case or in any way, try to justify if it has been established that a certain candidate has been involved in inducing electorates to vote for him or her. But as of now that we speak, there is no concrete evidence to corroborate the fact that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or candidate Japan induced or influenced electorates with his 300 cedis or 400 cedis. And in any way, if let's say I'm a delegate, I do not think that any presidential candidate can use 400 cedis or 300 cedis to influence my way of thinking to vote for him or otherwise. I do not think that is how it happens. So, Kwaku, let's not try to create a picture as if these politicians have stolen monies and that is why, or these politicians have engaged in corruption, that is why they have gotten these monies to be paying and what have you. In any case, the Political Parties Act, clearly in Section 23, provides for ways by which political parties can use to raise money. So, political parties, like any other organizations, do have the powers as provided by law to raise money to fund their activities or what have you, or political actors can raise money to fund their campaigns or what have you. And so going forward, I think that the Electoral Commission and Parliament must set out clear laws that guide our elections in this country, because we cannot engage in ordinary conversations, point fingers at people, and come out to say that they have been involved in vote buying. To go to your question on financing of political parties, I do not think that currently, as it stands now, Ghana is in a position, or the Republic of Ghana is in a position to finance political parties. The Republic needs money to do so many other things and provide so many social interventions for its citizenry, like the dialysis machine we've been discussing all this while. So I do not think that government has the capacity now to finance political parties. But I think it is important we have a clear roadmap, a clear framework on how political parties can raise money, can finance money. I also think there should be enough public education for citizens to be aware of how political parties operate with reference to their financing and funding and what have you. And also all these things should be done in a transparent manner. It should be done in a transparent manner. But just saying that because somebody has given or an aspirant has given somebody money amounts to vote buying, that is not what the law says. I've just quoted the law to you, Section 33 of PNDC Law 284. It is black and white. That is not what the law says. And on the call on the special prosecutor, it is a good call.
It's a good call.
But then again, if the provisions of the law do not support the offense that we are suggesting, I do not think that at the end of the day there could be any positive results out of it. So we need clear laws.
We need clear laws. The special prosecutor, the ball is down in your court. People have called on you to take an interest in this. Right after the NDC parliamentary primaries, you picked one of those persons and you are prosecuting them. Please look at this case as well. That is some of the things that have come around this table as a consensus. We've had Kwesi Boche, who just finished speaking, George Poku, a Ghanaian based in the US, Bright Obwoki Kelly is a journalist, Austin Wood, quite one of my favorites on social media, really brought the heat on this conversation, and Peter Kilson Akins. This is how we wrap up the conversation on Ghana Connect today. My name is Kwaku Asante. We also had Barikisu aspiring to be an assembly member for a Kojo electoral area in Tema. All the best to you, Barikisu, and thanks for connecting with us. We'll see you again next week.